Hello, we are back for the 5th episode of the Friends of Mine podcast. Hello, Dean.
Hello, mate. How are you?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Not too bad. You?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. You had a good week?
It's been all right. Yeah. I've been struggling a bit with the anxiety this week. As you know, I started a new job on a Monday. And I think, again, it's one of these that kind of holds a mirror up to yourself a bit, because it's made me realise like how ridiculously anxious I am in general. Because even though I've only been there a week and, it's kind of acceptable to have not settled down, I have been just like really anxious week, constantly feeling like I'm doing stuff wrong or doing stuff wrong. And yeah, it's kind of really been playing on my mind quite a bit. I've been having a few sleepless nights just over starting a new job. It's a bit strange, but...
Yeah, but you have said, you've only been doing the job a week, and it's not like there's a lot to it, isn't there? Even from what you've said to me, like briefly about it, like there's a lot to it. It's not just an easy role, so there's going to be a lot to learn.
I know, and I think that's it. I think that's what makes it worse with like my anxiety and stuff. Is like I know that that's the case. Do you know what I mean? Like if you said to me, if this was reversed and you said to me, I've been in a job a week, I'm struggling to get used to it, I feel like I'm, not doing a good job, I'll be like, well, don't be an idiot. Like, you've been there a week. They've been there for years. But when you're like it just kind of, like I say, it's kind of held a mirror up to realise that maybe my baseline anxiety is like really high at the moment, because obviously I've had quite a number of jobs before and I've never really felt like this before.
But this is a different sort of job, isn't it? Like from what you've ever done before, really? Kind
of, but it has similarities with the job I went to, like in between retail, I think, which was a similar job, and I don't remember feeling quite as anxious then. So I think my base anxiety is just quite high at the minute.
But would you reckon the anxiety was less because you were working from home?
No, I was talking about the job. Sorry, like before that, in between, I went to that accent place as a legal services advisor, even though it's like basically call centre. But yeah, it's just I just really think I was thinking this the other day actually, because I was kind of, I don't know if you ever do this, and it's probably gonna sound a bit weird, but like sometimes just like proper talk to myself out loud. Yeah. So I did one of these like a little while ago, and was talking about like being anxious about various things, and then obviously with this work, when I found myself sort of just sitting there the other day in the car before I went in the shift, just giving myself a bit of a pep talk, and I just realised like my sort of whole pretty much life has really been like guided by fear, if you know what I mean, or like affected by fear.
Anxiety. Do you reckon, like we spoke about anxiety before, but would you say this is probably the most anxious you've ever felt in starting a new job?
100%. Yeah, even when I was like younger, and even like just in general, like I just feel super anxious about it. Like literally I've been having sleepless nights about it, and even though, like I say, I've been there a week, and it's that thing, it's like I know for a fact that this is really irrational thinking. Mm-hmm. That's why I'm thinking maybe I need to address this and speak to someone, because I think it's a bit irrational to be as like...
Yeah, you're not going to be... And I know that you are like a bit of a perfectionist with like what you do, and you're very... And it's a good thing, like very proud, like if you're going to put your name to it, like you want it to be the best it can be, which is good. But yeah, so you've also got to be realistic. That's like me taking like an electrician's course, and after a week being annoyed because I don't know how to rewire a house, like.
And I think as well, I don't know if you find this or anyone listening finds this, but I think it's the being really scared to ask for help. I don't just mean like as in about mental health as a whole, but I mean about like anything. Mm-hmm. Like I don't know if it comes from a bit of pride, and it's quite funny you say about perfectionist actually, because if you had asked me if I'm a bit of a perfectionist, I like would have 100% been like no. Like to me, like when I think of a perfectionist, I think of someone who's quite opposite to me. But I suppose really when you put it like that,
yeah,
like I don't think there's many other people that would start a job and feel like they've let themselves down for not being
able to do everything.
Yeah, after a week, when other people in the job that are showing you what to do have been there.
And were you like? I mean, I've been doing like my job like on and off. I left for a brief spell, but like all in all, like 7 years. And like I still like make mistakes like every day, and don't know, I suppose, everything. That's after like 7 years in a job that's probably a lot more basic, if that makes sense, than what you're doing. So yours is a lot to take in, man. You need to not be so
I wonder if it's like I say, I think it's a little bit of the worrying about asking for help, because like everyone there is saying to me constantly, like, just ask us for help. But I just sit there, and obviously I will, but like I'll sit and ruminate on it and stress about it and want to do it myself before being like, excuse me, I'm really unsure about this. Do you know what I mean? I'm waiting until I really have to. Do you find yourself almost like,
I mean, I know from when I had a change of where I am and was doing sort of a management role, if I was ever unsure, I'd have like a 10-minute bit where I'd just stare at the computer.
Yeah, 100%.
And just hope that
it'll come
something will come up, or I'll be clicking through, like I'm trying to find something, like clicking through, and I know that I'm never going to find this thing, and I've only been shown once, and again it was very, come and ask if you're not sure, but for me, when I was doing it, I was learning on the job. It all happened very quickly for me. I sort of went from like being a caretaker to being like a facilities manager in a space of like 3 months. It all happened really quickly. So I felt bad like going to other managers because they've got their own shit to do. They don't need me coming up to them and saying, I don't know. And as much as people will go, or I felt they would go, no, it's fine, I'll ask. There's a little part, and I know that I'm the same as well. Like if I'm having a bad day and I've got like no patience with someone, then the last thing you want is someone coming up to you going, you show me how to do this, show me how to do this.
Because you're trying to do your own job while also having to train someone. I think that's where it comes from as well, is like I've been in that shoes. Like I've, nearly every job I've had where I've been there for a significant amount of time, I've been like the trainer, do you know what I mean? Like I even did a course when I was like at Wixley Park when I was younger, like I say younger, like a train the trainer course where I was literally like doing the training. And it was the same, like you'd be trying to do your own job. You're like, you're not just a trainer, so you're trying to do your own job. But I think it kind of reflects on just being afraid to ask for help in general. Do you know what I mean? Because it's weird, because there's like, and you always use other people as a reflection. So there's a guy there that's been there 4 to 5 weeks, I think he said. And just in general, he is just like a super confident bloke. Like I guarantee in his first 2 weeks, he had no problem asking for help. He'd just be like, I'll try my, excuse me, can you come and help me? I'm not sure, like proper confident guy. Like, and it's like, I'm looking at him like, I don't think I could ever be like that. Like as a person in general, I'd always be the type of wait until I'm absolutely desperate to be like, can I have some help? I mean, in work context and outside of work context, I think. Yeah, I think, again, people, since we've been doing this podcast, sort of like said, oh, no, I'd never ever guess like you've got like, especially the anxiety side of things, because you're talk to everyone. But my anxiety is probably actually worse now than my depression, but especially over maybe the last year or so, or even the last 2 years. But that's with work, and especially like if I make a mistake, like I beat myself up about it. Like I had not even an altercation with a client the other day, but like a disagreement with a client, and it was all like civil. There was no like raising of voices, but they had their opinion, I had my opinion, and then I just couldn't let it go. Like I went back like 2 or 3 times during the day to just like really sorry, like, I hope it's okay, rather than just you've said, oh, your bit, I don't agree, I've said my bit, you don't agree. And it honestly, even when I got home in the afternoon, there was the anxiety of, God, what if they make a complaint, or what of this and what of that, and like nothing was ever said. Like I even rang my boss and was like on the way home, like, look, this is what's happened, and he was like, all right, like it's fine, like don't worry about it, sort of thing. Do you think a bit of that comes from worrying about what other people think of you and not wanting to leave a bad impression?
And every site I go to, like I always, even if I'm not in a good mood, and I do have days sometimes where I'm at a new site and I'm being a bit off with people, because just sometimes it happens, like you're tired or you're just not in the mood for people, and then I get that, I don't want to leave this site, and then the next person who comes goes, oh, that Dean was a miserable git and blah blah blah, because yes, I think there is that level of it as well. I
totally get that. Like, and it's weird because you can never really change, even if you apologise. Like, if you make that really bad first impression, you're never going to change people's opinions of you. But it's so hard, I think, when you want everyone to like it. Because I'm the same. Like, I find sometimes, especially I've had it at work before, where like there's some specific examples, but I won't necessarily go into them, but where I've had like a huge bust up with someone, like it's usually somebody I've never really spoke to before, but I'd have a giant bust up with them, and then literally almost instantly later, or maybe a minute or two when I've walked off, I'll be like, oh my God, what have I done? And I'll go back and apologise and be like, I'm really sorry, that's not who I am and all this. And the weirdest thing that happens is I usually end up like becoming really good friends with them after that. I find that especially like when I've had arguments with blokes, like if you have a massive argument with a bloke that you've not really spoke to or had much to do with, you find that you'll be best friends afterwards.
Yeah. And I'll go back to like working when we worked together, like I think I fell out with everyone at Asda at some point, like yourself, Tom, like Ash, like everyone, because just very like, I'm a bit stubborn as well, so I think that's what I'm saying. I think and I don't like change, if that makes sense. So if my day is literally what's my day's looking like, and I'm doing this, even like when we worked at Asda together, like, you know, something simple like I'm working chill today, and then Ash comes out and says, no, you're not, you're working out. Like, even something like that, like, would just throw me off. Do you know what I mean? And I think that's where a lot of, again, going back to the manager, I was like, no, like, you never ever, the day never ever goes how you want it to go, because people phone in sick or you have an issue at a site and blah, blah, blah. And I really struggled with it, because I'd sit down the night before and go, right, I'm going to do this. And he almost took like the hour, so 8 till 9 I do this, 9 till 10 I'm going to do this. Lunch, I'm going to go and see this person at this site. And then you get a phone call and it throws your whole day off. And it just used to just like completely like throw me. Like massively.
I think as people we really like structure, don't we? I think it's really, really bad when anything can throw that off. Yeah, I think I've experienced, like I say, especially like at Aston, I've experienced that myself.
Yeah, and I get like Sunday anxiety, so I never, even now, I never ever sleep well on a Sunday with the thought of going back to work, because what if I don't remember to do this, I need to remember to do this, and then like normally I wake up at like 2-3 in the morning and that's it, like that. I sort of drift in and out then. Or what I've done recently, because it's dark again in the morning, is you look at make the mistake of looking at your phone and I think, it's only 2 o'clock in the morning, it's like 5:30, I'm like, shit, my alarm's going off in 10 minutes, like, why did I look for?
No, I'm totally the same. I think because of what I was saying about earlier about like really, it's not even that I'm not settling into this job, like I say, I am just, my expectations of myself are just so ridiculously high, I think. But like I'm already like all day I've just been worrying about tomorrow, which is so weird, because like on the previous podcast I've been like, yeah, you just got to live in the moment, like never, like don't think about it. But I am a hypocrite. Like I do talk the talk more than I walk the walk. But I know for a fact I'm going to struggle to sleep tonight, because I'll just be running over everything in my head. And I always, if I don't settle in somewhere straight away, I always just feel like I'm never going to, which is just so stupid, really, isn't it?
But again, that surprises me, because like in terms of, even when we worked at Asda together, like you just sort of like just slotted in, like, and it was like you'd always been there, like especially when you look at like, we were a department of like just lads. When you look at it, and like. Yeah, like, but then I suppose another way, like I didn't know until like 5 years ago, like you even like football, like, because I'm thinking all the time at Asda when we spoke, I don't think you ever mentioned, and then like one day you will rock up with another shirt on, I'm like, where's that come from?
Yeah, I did actually. I remember that, because I remember you being like, what the hell? Because when we did that FIFA thing, we were like, I'm going to choose your team, and I was like, do it again until we got to know it. But it was because of the fact that like I did have a little bit of apprehension, because when I got there it was a bit like laddie, apart from maybe a couple of people.
No names.
So I literally was just like, you're into football now, because I thought it's easier than me having a different opinion.
I suppose being a lower train, you're not really into football, are you?
Exactly. I do genuinely get embarrassed by it sometimes, especially after yesterday, but we won't go there. I think my I don't know. I don't know what it. I don't know if it is just the start of a new job or what. But yeah, I just feel at the moment like my anxiety is like through the roof. But it kind of just. I think sometimes it's really good to have it peak like this, because it makes me realise that it's not like my level of general anxiety is not normal, I think. because I think the spike would be a bit less. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. It's like me going to work tomorrow is like in my head and how my body is reacting to it is like catastrophic, like almost. Do you know what I mean? It's literally like, I don't know, it's hard to explain, but it's literally like my fear of going back in there tomorrow for my second week after how I finished on Friday. It's literally like I'm actually going to be going to, I don't know, a war tomorrow. Like literally I'm that petrified of it.
I suppose in a way it is, isn't it? Like it's not a war, but it's like a war with yourself.
100%. You know? That's what it is. Like I know, like I'm running it through my head like recently about, or like today rather, a little bit of it's like I could go in there tomorrow, not care, but just be like, I'm going to do my best, try and learn my best, ask for help every single step of the way, and then I'll be fine. I'll go home, maybe have a bit of a headache, use the computer all day, but go home and not be stressed. But it's like, that's the like optimal way most people react. Like most people, I think, who are good at dealing with anxiety or don't have as much anxiety, that's how they'd focus it. They'd be like, my world is not going to end on Monday if I go to that job. Even if I mess up, the worst I might do is like knock a few £100 out of that business that makes 47 million. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be like nothing is going to actually matter at the end of the day. So they'll go in and they'll have that sort of attitude of like, I'll try my best, but I won't. No. I guarantee I'll go in tomorrow and it'll be like every single step that I make wrong is like,
I also think it's a good thing to have a bit of anxiety in terms of, in some ways, it shows that you care. Like I've tried like to, you know, just go in now, it's only a job, I'm here for 8 hours and whatever it is, I can't, like I just can't, if I know that I'm going to do something and I've not done it or something's not up to a standard, like rather than, you know, and like usually a lot of people just go, time to go home now. Yeah. I just can't. Like I can't. And like Jay mains me constantly because even on the weekend I'm like checking emails and all the rest of it. And I think it's good to have that bit of anxiety. It shows that you care and it shows that you want to do a good job.
It's when it's just. I think I always think like it's when it's disrupting your life outside of it where it's an issue.
That's the problem. Yeah.
It's like when again going back to Asda. Shout out Asda. When I worked there, I feel like I used to just kind of pretend I didn't care some days. I'd want to be like, oh yeah, it's only like a supermarket, who cares? But I did because I wanted, like you said, I wanted to do a good job. And like, so I would go in and do the best I could and I'd worry, like if somebody's like, Wayne, can you go and sort this out? And I didn't feel like I could do a good job, I'd be like, oh, bollocks, I ain't done a good job. But because I think, like say, my anxiety in general was okay then, I'd go home and I wouldn't think about it. I literally wouldn't care. It'd be like, I'll go in tomorrow, if I get a bollock in tomorrow because I didn't do that, fine. Yeah. Where at the minute, I just feel like I'm just like say the fact that I couldn't sleep last night because I was worried about, so I couldn't sleep on a Saturday night because I was worried about work on a Monday is not healthy, I think.
How did your anxiety work at Asda? So you, like I said, I'd sort of try and structure my day, and if something happens to throw it off, it like messes my head completely. How were you with if they came and said to you, we're going to go and put you on grocery or home shopping? Did that affect you at all? Or?
Sometimes. I think, to be fair, I think I at that job kind of didn't mind the change a little bit because it was a bit of like a different routine. The only time it did was if they put me on tills, because I think anyone that's worked on a checkout in a busy supermarket, like when that's not their job and they've not been there long enough, knows that you're like obviously constantly dealing with customers, and then if something goes wrong you have to stand there and be sorry about this for 10 minutes or you get that like pressure, but other than that, no, I didn't mind it too much. I suppose it just depends on whether like I felt like, say I was leaving one bit to go on another bit, if I was then I'd worry a bit that I was then gonna get in trouble for the department I've left being shite. Do you know what I mean? Which again is stupid, because how can you do it if you're not there?
Happen. How many times were we there? Like, I know myself, like someone would come up and go, right, I need to go on this section, then the manager would come down and go, well, what are you doing over here? And like, well, they told me to. Like, and then you just sort of, I've got anxiety as it is. Don't do this to me. Like,
but that's again, that just shows it, doesn't it? Because the normal reaction would be, well, this isn't my fault. I've been told to do this and I've done it. But
I don't mean this. I am very stubborn. Like, if I do overtime, like I almost like I'm doing you a favour by doing this overtime, which is partly true, but also not. But I even when we were working at Asda, like doing overtime, on counters and a manager coming into me and saying, no, I don't want you on here, you can go and chill, and me just going, I'm going home then. Like, and again, I think it was that change of the routine. So I'd done my hours here, and then it was like, oh, can you do 3 extra hours here? Yeah, okay. And then someone else goes, no, if you're going to be here, you need to be. And I just went, no, I'm going home. I just went and clocked out and just went home. Like,
and that's the thing as well. It's like the managers just doing their job. Yeah, you feel like it's an attack on you. Yeah. That's.
I'd hate to manage me sometimes because of my anxiety. I would I'd hate to manage me sometimes because I am like opinionated. I'm quite stubborn and. I'm very much, if I think I'm right, then like that's it. And even to the stage where like I sort of know that probably, because we all do stuff in the moment where I suppose we react when we say something at work and you think, but even then I think, I'm not apologising. Like, and that's something I've got a lot better with recently, like even like home life, like me and Joe have a disagreement, rather than just like saying something, just take the dogs for a walk, cool down, calm down, because I think a lot of the time you say, and that's anxiety as well, because you just react in the moment and you say stuff that you don't normally mean.
I don't know what the actual time scale is, but I think they do say that like when something happens, it takes a little bit of time for like our rational brain to comprehend it. So we will it's like that thing when someone pulls out in a car, because you get that almost instantaneous, like 0.7 millisecond, like rush of adrenaline, you just react. So somebody pulls in front of you in a car and you're just like, wow, and your initial reaction is, what the fuck are you swearing. I'll say that was swearing here loads before, but that's my anxiety again. But it's like if you can just take like even I honestly don't know the time scale, I have to look into it, but say like, let's just for argument's sake say 10 seconds where you're like, right, I'm going to try to do 10 seconds before I open my mouth. And I think again with the car thing, 'cause it's so instant, it's probably harder than like, I don't know, if Joe come in now and said something that you didn't like for you just be like, all right, 10 seconds. You could even like, I suppose, and I think I heard this on another podcast, I think, so I'm kind of stealing this, or read it in a book, something like that, but they say like one way of doing it, like especially in terms of relationships, would be to literally say, I want to process this, just give me 10 seconds and I'll come back with your answer, which might sound weird. They might be like, I want the answer now, but like if you just say, just give me a second just to process this, and then you're less like your logical brain has time to sort of think over it a little bit.
But I think again, like if you're already anxious and then someone like presses a button to annoy you, like you don't even have that, because sometimes I go and say something and you think, just don't. But sometimes as well, like if I'm in a bad mood and someone says something at work, like I'll just bite back at them, and you think, and again it's what you say, if you could almost pause yourself, walk away, but then they say like, but it's difficult, isn't it? Because then it just turns into a shouting match as well. Like I've had it before at work where you bite back at someone and they bite back, and then you're having like this argument over them obviously not saying this, but going to me like, you're triggering your tea, and me like and you look back in it afterwards and you go, like it was silly, like it was a nothing. But then also I'm so stubborn that I'm not apologising, and like hold a grudge for like the next 3 days over something like.
It's funny because like I think we spoke about this before, because I was saying I'm actually getting better at that, but like it's funny to see the degree, like the time scale between your reactions sometimes, because I've found, especially when I've been having not arguments but like problems, say with people in the last like 2 or 3 months, it's been like my initial reaction is massively defensive. So something will happen, and even if it's my fault, my brain will just coat it and just say, this is their fault, you're being attacked. It's like, I suppose it's literally like the fight or flight. It's like this person's attacking you by saying something you don't like or going against your routine or how you want the world to be, and I'll blame that person. And then I'll like sleep on it, or maybe have a few hours away from it, and I just get this, it's like that just lifts, and I get this real clarity where I'm like, actually, they did nothing wrong. They just had an opinion, and I massively blew it up, upset them, said stuff that I didn't mean, and then I go back and apologise. But I want to learn how to make that go from like the next day or a few hours later to like not instantaneous, because like we say, your initial reaction is very hard not to be angry, but make that, 10 minutes. So if we had an argument now, instead of me going home and then messaging you tomorrow going, sorry Dean, I was out of order.
Yeah.
Like in 10 minutes time, I can be like, sorry Dean, that was out of order, let's sort this out.
Because I know that we do, I hope you don't mind me saying this, like even when we'd start this every week, you go to me, I'm nervous. Like, is that like an anxiety thing again, would you say? Is it because you're worried that someone's going to hear this and judge you differently? Is it the bit like we said about, I said something like myself, like how this thing I hate the idea of someone not liking me. Like, what is it, do you reckon?
If I'm being totally honest, I think it's a little bit different with this, because I'm a bit weird where, like, I do get anxious about stuff I enjoy. So let's say, for instance, well, like this, but also, like, as another example, maybe, like, going to a gig. Mm-hmm. Like, because it's a little, I've got to drive there, I've got to be around people I don't know, what if the seats are crap? I will have anxiety, but because I know I'm going to enjoy it, it's a very either short-lived or mild anxiety, and I think that's a bit the same as this. So when we're about to click record, I'm like, I think I'm more worried about how we're going to start it, that initial introduction.
Yeah, it's true. Like, I mean, what you said before, like, what do we talk about? And the danger of, like, I don't want to say I get anxiety about doing this, but I do get, like, I always listen to it back, like, at work.
Yeah.
Normally a bit, I'm like, not double speed, but like 1.5, because I know what we're saying, but just to make sure that it all makes sense. And I think it's an anxiety of, like, not repeating yourself too much, which is difficult because the mental health sort of stems around the same things. But no, I'm just interested, because obviously.
Yeah, no, I have this weird thing with this actually, where like I don't think I've worried too much about this, because what I usually do when I edit is kind of just throw it out there just is. So it's almost like we're doing a live thing, so it's there. Because it sounds so weird, but I kind of like that. Like even if I do listen back to this tomorrow and be like, oh my god, what was I saying? I just think there's something genuine about us doing this, because being honest to the people listening, other than I think when maybe your dogs were barking, so I cut it out. Like we haven't edited like one bit out of it, like in terms of what we were saying. So I kind of like that, because the thing is as well, it's like we can run in circles trying to make this perfect and put the right points across and not go over the same things we've been over, but that's not life. Like I don't know about you, but I kind of want this to be like really organic, so people can hear like, oh my god, I can't believe they just said that, and oh my god, what a hypocrite, Wayne said this last week and now we're saying this week. But that's part of who I am.
I mean, I've had it as well. Like, I listen to it back and you think, well, I've said something about work or whatever, and you think, that's a little bit close, you know. But again, I think it is part of being truthful, and there's no point of me who's sitting here now and me going, I absolutely love my job, and I jump out of bed every day, because it's not truth.
It's not true to how you feel at the moment. You might learn to love it. But,
and it's pointless as well. And it's true what you say, though. It's pointless, me saying here, going, I don't have any mental health issues. My anxiety is brilliant, and I do it, because it's not. So I get it actually, and you can tell, especially like when we do listen to it back and you do hear like the dog's feet tapping in the background and you just speak to yourself. Suppose it is. I mean, hopefully the audio quality as we improve and get better microphones will get better. But in terms of the edit, no, I think it's good that we haven't. To be honest, and if any companies do want to sponsor us of new equipment, that'd be brilliant. Just give us a few £100 or a couple of thousand, that'd be great. Thank you. Lovely job. I think it helps as well, because if we just talk as we're just talking now, so it's just like flow like a normal conversation, like people can hear it in our tone a little bit as well. Do you know what I mean? Like it'd be no good us coming on here and either saying we're right when we're not, or vice versa, because even just through voice and the things we talk about, like people pick it up. Like people can probably tell by the fact that I'm talking quite a lot now that I've got anxiety. Does that make sense? Where if I was more lean on the press, I might be a bit slow talking a bit. Yeah, I get that as well. Like my anxiety is just to talk, and then hopefully, or do you know as well, a defence mechanism is just to try and make someone laugh. Yeah. So in an awkward situation, or like, and I am like the worst person. I said that the other week, like laughing at times that you shouldn't laugh. Like I'm not going to say like a funeral, but like that sort of example where like it's really serious and something's happened, and and I just can't. And I would be that kid at school, like, don't make eye contact. If I make eye contact with them, like, I'm just going to start laughing. And I think like part of my defence mechanism, pick my teeth in, is like just try and make someone laugh, and even maybe just take the piss out of myself, because then it's I've got to laugh and I'm all right, and I'm quite like, even from like the speeches at like the wedding, the charity games, like being best man, like, the first thing I thought is, right, just make them laugh as quickly as possible, make them laugh, and then you almost feel that you almost feel yourself levelling out. And I think it is for me a defence mechanism from over my anxieties. And then I'll probably say stuff that I shouldn't say as well, like you go, well, that's a little bit, you know, when you make a joke and everyone doesn't laugh, it's more of a like I think like that is like, that's probably my defence.
No, but I like that though. Yeah, I like the fact he makes laugh.
Yeah, I'll try anyway. I try.
But I get what you mean. I think one of the things that I do is talk about what's making me anxious a lot. Like, you must have noticed it, like even on this job thing, like as soon as I came in today, you were like, how are you? And I was like, work's straight, like I'm really anxious about work. Like, I think it's that wanting reassurance, even though there's nothing, I mean, obviously you can help, but you know what I mean, like you could say all the right things, and if I don't want to hear it or don't want to put it into action or whatever, or you know, I can't. But it's like, I find I do that, and I catch myself sometimes. I'm like, "What are you doing?" Like sometimes some people just ask me how I am, and I just tell them all these things. I think, well, "What are you doing?" Like, all you're going to do is make them sort of be like, "Oh, you know, there's a."
But we all need reassurance, like especially with anxiety. Like, and sometimes that's what, like, we all do. Now, if I message you, or I think I was going to upset you, or whatever else. And I could like build this massive thing up in my head, and I'll be anxiety, oh my god, like Wayne hates me and blah blah blah. But then you message me saying, oh sorry mate, I'm busy. Like, yeah, I'm good, how are you? That's almost like, and I'm ready to go, it's alright. And then I feel myself, so it's no different. Like,
it can't, but I think my thing is that I always want reassurance for things that nobody can reassure you about. It's either stuff I've got the answer for, like this, you know what I mean? It's like what can you, unless you suddenly go, oh, I'll tell you what, Wayne, I've actually got this perfect job where you just like sit down, do nothing all day. There's nothing you can say or do that's going to rid me of my anxiety. That sounds a bit harsh. That's what I'm saying. You can't help. But you know what I mean? Like, I've got to action it and do the work. I've got to be like, stop being an idiot. It's just you're new to the job. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's interesting about like your anxiety outside of work, with like going to gigs and all that. Is that still? Does that depend on who you're going with as well? So if you were going with your mum, would your anxiety be less or higher than if you were going with Tom, for example?
Good question. Potentially with my mum, just because I suppose I'd feel like I was looking after her more, because she, you know, isn't as streetwise, I guess, as maybe Tom, But no, I think it's just like, I don't know. I think sometimes we mix up excitement and nervousness. Do you know what I mean? Like, but yeah, I would, if I was going to a gig tomorrow, there would be an element of nerves, and I think it's kind of like that, not being sure what's going to happen. Like, I think when you suffer from anxiety, you think of the worst things. So let's say we're going to a gig tomorrow. There'll be some people out there who I envy massively, who would be like, I'm going to gig tomorrow, I'm super excited, it's going to be the best time ever, I'm going to like do this and this and have this food before, afterwards, it's going to be amazing. And that would be like all they think about it. Where I would be like, I'm going to a gig tomorrow, I am excited about it, but I'm also, you know, a bit nervous about where I'm going to park, I'm a bit nervous about what if the seats are rubbish and the person I'm with's like, oh, this is crap, what if I get ill before I go, what if? There's always these what ifs. I can never just be like, well, let's just deal with whatever happens. Like, I'll deal with the parking when we get there. I think there's a meme that I keep seeing around where it says like this. It's like, if I say yes to something, like I'm saying it in the moment, but actually like that yes just means yes if there's a decent parking, yes. I've totally butchered the meme, but people might know the one you mean. Yeah.
And I think going back to it, I touched on it, I think maybe the first podcast or the second one about my anxiety in terms of like going on nights out and being outside my comfort zone. I think my anxiety is different. Like, if you said, I can't remember the last time you and Tom went to a nightclub, but if you said like, and even outside of Northampton, but like if you said, oh, me, you and Tom, we're going to go to like Birmingham on the weekend, and it was just me, you and Tom, my anxiety would be a lot less than if it was all the lads from football, and because I think there's like a bigger group, and I know them all. I've known you and Tom 15 years, like so would your anxiety be like worse in a group if, like, say like me, you, Tom, and Damon were going away?
Oh, you mean if there's people I didn't know there?
Yeah, or no, there's like, so me, you, and Damon and Tom were going away. You've known us for like 15 years. Would you still have that anxiety the night before?
I still would be thinking about what would go wrong, I think, yeah. I don't think it would be quite as bad as if I was obviously going with people I didn't know, or like on my own, or even maybe with like my mum, or like if I had a girlfriend, any single ladies out there. But no, if I had like if it was something like that, because I feel like the pressure's more on you then, maybe, which is silly, because I mean, it would be my mum, because she obviously, like, she'd be no good going on holiday, right? She'd panic. She'd be the first to admit that. But I just feel like I'd be like, I don't know, I suppose I'd be more like the protector, I guess. Where if it was like me, you, Damon, and Tom going, actually, I'm probably still,
not a good example.
I do usually end up taking the lead on it and stuff like that. I do feel like the dad sometimes. But I do feel like if I went with you, like, it'd be more, I'd be less anxious.
I can't even argue about that. I mean, I am like, my anxiety, like, one of my biggest anxiety now, if you said to me, like, Dean, we're all going to London, for example, like, I couldn't make it to like a day later, and you're like, I'll just get the tube down and meet us, like
really?
Like that is like travelling on my own. I have got like no sense of direction, like, at all. Like, I struggle to find my car without a sat nav. Like, I just don't. So I think that's more. I think it's an anxiety of like, what have I messed up?
Yeah.
Like so what if you got on the wrong, you jump on the next one.
Yeah.
But I would have like a sleepless night thinking like, oh my God, I've got to do that. Like, driving doesn't bother me. Like, I think you just got your phone, got your sat nav. But in terms of like public transport,
that's so weird, isn't it? Because I'm actually like thinking about it. I'm totally opposite to that. Like, I drove to Northampton today, which I've drove quite a bit, and because I had to go in a couple of like different lanes and a roundabout I'd never really been on before, I was in full panic mode, and I had like a guy beat me behind. I got really stressed. I was like nearly had road rage with him. Where if it was like public transport thing, like when I went Europe, like I never really had anything like that. Strange.
I'd be bad at it. Like, I'd end up just like sleeping at the train station and just going home or something, just of like the fear of messing up. I'm gonna say talk about anxiety and like concerts, and you may choose to edit this out.
Oh God, I'm scared.
Reading Festival.
Yep.
When you went, obviously you went, and then things changed.
Yeah.
So you were on your own, like that initial. Like, what was your initial like?
Oh yeah, from what I remember, because we're talking like 2014 now. Yeah, so basically I went Reading, and I had a couple of people pull out. And yeah, I remember initially being really anxious because obviously I didn't know anyone. I'm really not the type of person who could just be in a field of people and make friends. Like, no way in hell. Like, that's just not me. And that was obviously the case. And yeah, it was really bad. I remember phoning somebody at the time and saying like, I think I'm going to come home because, you know, I'm on my own, a bit scared. But yeah. Like, I can't remember too much, but I definitely remember being really, 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 like, anxious at first. And then luckily I found a couple of people, shout out Adam for Matt Lane, if you ever listen, who I worked with at the time, happened to be there as well. And we ended up meeting up and had a really good time. But yeah, like you say, I think it just comes down to, like, throwing off your schedule. Or, like, not necessarily your schedule, but what you think's going to happen. I think that's it, because like then if I was still with the original people that I was meant to go down there with, probably wouldn't have fazed me whatsoever, really, other than the base like little bit of anxiety of just being at my first proper festival, if you know what I mean. Because like when I went to one recently, okay, nowhere near the scale of Reading, but with my family, like my mum, brother and sister-in-law. And yeah, it just I didn't have that anxiety at all, really, other than the little bit of like unfamiliarity. Do you know what I mean? Like, I'm okay with unfamiliarity a little bit. In fact, I quite like it. I think that's why I love travelling so much.
Yeah.
Like, if you just said to me now, we're going to blindfold you, put you on a train somewhere in Europe or wherever, and then you've just got to make your way back. Like, that doesn't actually weirdly give me that much. Like, that gives me more excitement. That's strange, isn't it?
Yeah. So again,
weird. I'm weird. I'm just so weird.
Out of my comfort zone, like, it's not like, and I've said about it before, like, I think that's part of it. If I go out here, like, I know how to get home, and you drop me somewhere else, and I'm like, my first thing is, what if something goes wrong, and what if this happens, and what if that happens, which is, again, like, probably such a negative way to look at it, and why, like, I probably don't do as much as I could. Like, I've had opportunities to, like, go travelling and do, like, and I have missed out on, like, some really good weekends away, but that's my own anxiety of, I can't do this, like, outside my comfort zone. It's just weird, isn't it, how, but again, it doesn't take the wrong way, but people looking from the outside in, people who know me and you, they'd probably think that was the other way around, that maybe that...
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, it's like you get anxious about some things that I don't find anxiety inducing and vice versa. It is quite interesting, yeah. It is really interesting, actually, because like with the work thing, like I'm petrified of like changing jobs. I mean, I suppose most people get that like bit of anxiety about it and stuff, but yeah, the going travelling and stuff. Do you know what I mean? I'd choose that every day. Like, you would, though, yeah, no, that's very true. Yeah, but I mean, like even like if it's something really bad, like say like blindfolding me and throwing me out somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I've got to work out how to get my way back. Like,
a bit like Bear Grylls sort of thing.
Yeah, like I actually. God, I've got issues.
Right, so I think you've got a story, someone sent a message in that they'd like you to sort of read out. Is that right?
Yeah, so it wasn't necessarily a message, it was just something I think, a question. Somebody sent in, I'm going to try and take this slow so I don't give too much away about who this person is, because they wanted it to be really anonymous, so I want to respectfully be a bit be sensitive towards that. So it's somebody that we both know.
Yeah.
They've had like a real up and down life. Like the way because this started as us just having a bit of a normal conversation, the same, if you imagine like what we're having, but with a mic off. And they started to talk to me about a few things that I wasn't really aware of, even though I've been friends with this person for, well, as long as you really, I suppose.
Yeah.
And they went into a few things about like their family life, a little bit like they had parents that wanted to see their kids, so the parents' grandkids, for a brief period, and then in their words, got bored. Yeah. In his words, should I say, got bored, and then left. And he's also got a medical. He's had a really bad time physically recently. He had a medical issue when back in the day, which was one that affected his physical appearance. And I know this might sound really insensitive in some weird ways, but like, because it never bothered me at all, like it never affected how I viewed this person at all, I never really thought about how it might have made them feel, which is quite strange really to not have recognised that.
But also reassuring, because
to him listen to it might be.
Because their worst, they probably believe every time they leave the house that people are going to judge me on this, and the fact that, and again, like, I never took any notes of it. Like, you just don't do you? Do you know? I wouldn't ever.
But it just shows you, I think, sometimes it's again what we're talking about. Like, you don't know what people are going through, because genuinely, like, even when, like, and I think I'd be lying if I said he never mentioned it, like, as in, like, oh, it's, I'm a bit worried about what people are thinking. He might have done, but because it really never bothered me, I don't think I ever really listened to him about that. So I kind of like never was there for him a little bit. And in general, like, because we used to work together and haven't seen him for a long time, like I really haven't spoke to him much at all. And it's one of these things, when someone's sort of out of your sight a little bit, you do tend to drift away from, which is not nice actually, because he's, we were really close. And still are, but you know what I mean? We were really close back in the day. He used to talk all the time. And he's recently had a real bad health scare. One that's like stopping him being able to work and do things that he used to do. And it's one of these things. I think it must be so horrible to know that you can do things to make yourself feel better, for instance, like exercise or even having a job. Like, I know we've spent like 90% of this podcast talking about work and how scared I am of it, but as we were discussing ourselves, I think before the podcast, what's before the podcast, like being out of work when you want to work is awful and really, really can affect your mental health. And it's really difficult. Like I say, I knew a little bit about his family history in terms of his parents, his partner's parents, but I never really knew much about it, and that's really quite a thing to navigate, because he's got to try to do what's best for his kids, but also not allow their grandparents, etc., to
cause any more hurt. I suppose. It's difficult, because if they've come into their life, I hope I'm not overstepping the mark here, but they come into their life once, and the kids have got nan and granddad that they've not had before, and then they've disappeared again, and then you've got to explain to them
why it's happening.
Maybe not even why, because how much do you can't go to the kids and say they're bored, like I don't even know how you navigate that. So then I suppose there's almost that bit of, do I let them back in? Do I want to let them back in again? It's difficult. And on top of, like you said, not being able to work and having like health concerns, it's like you said, you never know what someone's going through. Because again, even I know him not as well as you, and I don't speak to them as much as you do anymore. But we'd never have. Like, they were always quite chipper when you saw them, and always chipper. I never used that word in my life. No. But they were always. It just goes to show, doesn't it? Like,
I think that's a good point. I think this really. So thank you for sending this information in, by the way. But I think one of the big takeaways I got from this is what you just said. Like, you never really know how much someone's going through, and it's kind of like, I don't want to say like it went in one ear out the other, because obviously I listen to people when they talk to me, but. In general, unless it's you. No, I'm joking. But like it sometimes I think it just doesn't. It can sometimes just not stick.
Yeah.
So I think like that's something I'm trying to do a bit better now. Is when somebody says to me like, I'm just having a bit of a rough time. It's like, let's stop all conversation and focus on that, because sometimes you bring it up in the middle of other conversations. Like, so you doing all right then? Yeah, just feeling a bit. Oh, okay, cool. Did you? It's like really focusing in on the way people say stuff. It's like we were talking about earlier. Some people can probably grasp how me and you are feeling, or they might in 30 podcast time, they might be able to be like, I can hear in his voice. And it's like, I feel like I'm going to try and do a bit better with that.
I think we all do it now, don't we? Like, again, it depends on like where you are, but like if we're all out as a group of 6 or 7 of us, and I turn around to someone and they say, I'm really struggling. Like, I've done it before where I don't really want to have this conversation now. So like, look, you can talk to me anytime, mate. And then you don't turn your back on it, but you almost change the subject again because you don't want the awkwardness. And it's awful, and I've done it. Like, I'd be like lying if I said I didn't. And I think I said about it on the podcast before, or maybe the one before that, about like asking people, like, and I try and do it now, like, are you okay, twice. So like once at the start of the conversation and like once at the end. And 9 times out of 10, people just go, yeah, I'm fine, even if they're not, because people don't want to be a burden. And I've got a friend at the moment who's going through a situation, I can't say too much, but with their relationship, and I say to him, like, why haven't you texted me and let me know? Well, you've got your own stuff going on. And I think I felt like that in the past, and you probably felt like that. Definitely. I don't want to burden on this, but like, I know it's another thing, like a problem shared is a problem half. Like, sometimes it's good just to vent. And I have it like going to work, someone will come in or speak to me on the phone and they go, you don't seem yourself, mate. And I don't even realise that I'm necessarily not myself. So to have what they've got going on at the moment, and he's trying to keep up appearances for the family and because again, trying to be strong for his kids, it's a lot of pressure. Yeah,
another thing I forgot to actually bring up, so just reading through it a bit now in between, it's he also brought up that one of the ways that he tries to help himself is through helping other people. But I feel like you need to be careful with that, because I think sometimes it's kind of proven that if you help other people, it can make you feel better, and it's helps build community. I think it is a really good way. I think it's Jordan Peterson said you have to also treat yourself like you're someone worth helping. Like, it's no good saying I'm I'm going to make myself feel better by just concentrating on everyone else. Like, I've done that in the past. Like, it really doesn't help. You also have to realise that you are somebody that you need to help as well. Like, literally, I mean, it sounds silly, but sometimes, and I think, again, this is something that I'm taken from what Jordan Peterson said in his book. It's like you literally have to feel like you're somebody. So you have to, like with you, like I might be able to sit here and write a list of things that I think Dean can do to make his life better. You just need to do that yourself.
Yeah.
You know, like for me, I know a few things, like sorting my diet out, getting sleep.
Yeah.
Maybe even if it's something like drastic that you don't want to do, like speaking to a doctor. If you were like saying some of the stuff that I've been saying today, I might say to you, Dean, if you spoke to your doctor about it,
but not do it yourself. And there's that thing as well, that quote, how can you expect anyone else to love you if you don't love yourself?
Yeah.
And it's like,
it's 100%
the same. True. Like,
you could literally swap love in that phrase with care. How can you expect someone to care about you if you're not caring about yourself? And so so my advice to this person, because I know he listens, so hopefully he'll hear this, is to try to also include yourself in that, you know, helping other people.
Yeah, I think, and I know, like we've known him for a long time, that he is that sort of person that will do anything for anyone.
He was there for me a lot.
And I think it just goes to show as well, like, you touched on it, like, you know, you stop working with someone or you know, even like I stopped playing football, like there's people I am at the moment still talking to, but I hope just because I'm not there every week that we don't just drift and never talk. Because that would, like, I wouldn't want it to be like a stranger. If that makes sense. Like, I saw something on TikTok the other day, like when you see your old best friend and there's no hate, but you just move your separate ways, and that like hit quite hard because I've got people that, and it just happens that in a part of life is that you take different paths. Yeah.
But there's no reason you can't reopen those paths. That's the thing as well, I suppose, isn't it?
But I think the one thing that we're trying to do is just, you know, I think make all of us, including myself and yourself, just be a little bit more considerate. And I try and do that now, you know. I'm the first one to moan and go, why you didn't reply to me? But then I'm also the same person that can sit there and leave a WhatsApp like unread for like 3 days and then just think to myself. So I think it's about being more considerate, and I really try and push that, asking twice, you know, are you okay? And not being ashamed to go, no, I'm not. Like, there is no right time or place to do that. I think that's for a long time, that's what I thought. I won't say nothing now, it's not the right time or place, I won't say it. Whereas if you say it and they care and they really care.
Yeah, and the thing is as well, like there's nothing, I think on the complete flip side, just to play sort of devil's advocate here, there's probably going to be times when we've got so much going on that we probably can't take other people's stuff on. That's the thing, like with like talking about all this, we're talking about it as if we always have to take on other people's stuff as well, or like always have the right advice, because that's my biggest thing. Sometimes people come to me and I'll feel like I have to know the answers. So like somebody will be like, oh, I'm feeling really down, instead of me just being there for them and holding a space, I'll be running through these things in my head like, oh, what should they do? But it's people don't need that. That's kind of going back to what we were saying earlier when I came in here and was like, Dean, my job's making me really anxious and stuff. I don't really need answers. It's just nice to be heard and just for you to have a bit of space of just like, And to vent sometimes as well. Yeah. Like, I do it quite often. Like, I'll ring like Neil up, who, and or my mate Liam, and we're just like, I just like vent to him about the week. Sometimes you just need to just have a vent. Like, even sometimes, I'm sorry, Joe, if it's about Joe. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I can't. It's just a release sometimes, isn't it? Yeah. Sometimes you feel better after that, and I'm like, even sometimes when they've done it, would have gone, yeah, but you're in the wrong there, Dean. And I'm like, I'm not meant to say that, but like sometimes it's good to have like that. But like I say, but the other person doesn't have to know the answers. That's one thing I would definitely try and, from my experience, is like, you don't have to know the answer. It's like that thing, and like, again, I think I've stole this from somewhere, but like, well, you do, don't you? Like for copyright. Yeah, well, no, but every idea sort of comes from somewhere. I usually find when I don't feel like I'm coming up with this myself, but like, if a kid falls over in a playground, like his mum's not going to go, right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get plaster. Like the first thing she's going to do is just be like, oh, come here, give him a hug. I think when it comes to mental health, sometimes not necessarily a physical hug, but like that's sometimes what we need. Yeah.
And again, I think we said it before. If I walked in like now and was like on crutches, or we went to someone's house on crutches, the first thing everyone would do is like, are you okay? Like, what's happened? Yeah. But with mental health, because it's not always like able to see it.
Yeah.
So it just needs to be treated the same way as a broken leg or whatever else. So, it should just. I think people are ashamed as well. I know I've said about it. I was ashamed of my mental health for a long time because I'd be like, I'm not going to tell them that I'm sad. I'm not going to get to football. And I've touched on before, and I've driven a football before on my own and literally cried the whole way there. And if I walked in and done that, people would go, what the is wrong with it? But if I walked in and my arm was in a sling, it would be... Yeah, I just think it needs to be treated the same way. And I think that it is even better than 10 years ago.
100%.
Like, it does get better every day. And part of what we're doing is to hopefully make it. And I've had, again, I won't say names, but people message me, mostly blokes, saying it's such a breath of fresh air to have two lads just sit and talk and no, you said be organic and we could clip it and make it PG and make it all and write a script almost before.
Yeah, exactly.
I think people would see through that.
Yeah, because other than maybe I think the last two episodes we discussed a little bit before what kind of thing we might talk about. We have just been doing it on the cuff, and I think that's I do think that's good. But yeah, going back to the stigma thing, like I even found that a little bit about like today, because like I've been like I say all day today and all last night. I kind of tried to cure it with alcohol a bit last night, but like all yesterday, all last night and all today I've been like super anxious. Like I've been feeling it, like it's one of them where you just cannot deny it to yourself. Like I'm just like my brain's just constantly on tomorrow and next week and what am I going to do in the future, and it's like part of me wanted to come here and maybe not say about it, but it's like, but then I thought, well no, like this is why we're doing this, so it's like, who cares? If people want to be like, oh, for God's sake, Wayne's anxious again, he's like worried about his job again.
But then also, don't listen to a mental health podcast if you don't want to hear that.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
Also
be a bit like me turning on Sky Sports and going, no, talking about the football again.
Yeah, true, yeah.
People know what they... And a lot of the people... we had... Was it 2 listeners in the Mauritius? Was that right?
I think we had...
shout out to them.
I think people in America listen, apparently.
But people know what they're... People who know us who are listening to it, and there will be people who potentially don't know us listening to it. If you
I think that's the case for me.
Well,
I think most of the listeners are all your friends.
No, because you're the one getting
my
the
friends
messages.
now.
You're the one getting the messages, and you're
I've had to know. It's nice.
But anyone who doesn't know us, Friends of Mine Podcast on Facebook and Instagram, if you want to go and give us a little follow and a 5-star on Spotify, we'd appreciate that if it helps.
No, the feedback has been really good, and I just, again, I'm sure I'm talking on behalf of Dean, but he can say his piece afterwards. Just want to say a big thank you, actually, because like it's an hour. Like the fact that people like, I'm not saying everyone's tuned in for the whole hour, but there will be some people out there, or people have told me that they've been listening to every single episode, start to finish. Like, genuinely thank you, because it's really nice. And you could be doing anything else with your time, let's be honest. And you're choosing to listen to us.
Yeah, which is mad, because... but no, again, I think all the feedback that we've got is positive. And it's nice for... Nice to know, because I think we both had massive anxieties about like releasing it and putting ourselves out there.
It's really nice. It's really good. It's been really helpful for me. Like I say, it's it's like a mini therapy session.
It is 100%. Yeah.
In fact, Dean is actually sitting here with a monocle on a sofa right now.
You're laying
pretending,
down.
Pretending to be my therapist.
It's been really good, and I appreciate everyone listening to it, and hopefully we can get to a stage where we can do maybe more than one a week and people on, and we will have people on. I think it's just a case of getting more equipment first, isn't it? Which is a bit...
Yeah. I mean, we could probably do it now. We could definitely do it now. So if anyone wants to come on, like, even if it's next week or whenever, as long as we arrange that, it's fine. Or like I say, send in your questions, or even not necessarily questions like the one we had today. Just, if you just want to... I think, like I say, sometimes just getting that reflection from hearing your problems out there, do you know what I mean? It's almost the equivalent of like talking to somebody, do you know what I mean? Because, I don't think we said anything about what was said necessarily that's, we didn't answer any questions about it necessarily, but it's just sometimes nice, I think, just to hear. And the thing is as well, like, you'll know that you're not alone by this, because I guarantee half the people that listen to can relate in some way. So,
cool.
And I think that will probably be a good time. We're on at almost exactly an hour. That'll be a good time to wrap it up.
Again,
yes,
crazy. Kind of flying and having fun, don't it?
Exactly. Thank you all for listening, and we'll speak to you on the next one.